How you doing there, folks? Um, I'm going to touch upon a topic today that is really a hot button topic in Canada and abroad. Um, First, I'm going to explain some things. I'm a non-feminist, and I value all humans equally. Okay, I don't place a premium on one over the other, and that's how I view things as a non-feminist and a former feminist at that. I would have called myself feminist about 7 or 8 years ago. No more after what I've experienced and what I've discovered about feminism. However, I am going to talk about this topic here. Okay, the inquiry into missing and murdered Indigenous women. There is a problem, and it actually stretches across all the whole population of missing or Indigenous individuals in Canada. They have higher murder rates, higher substance abuse rates. There's really a deplorable situation going on with the Indigenous population within Canada. Okay, and really all those situations and all those issues need to be addressed and addressed properly. But what we cannot do as a nation is only address 1/3 or 1/2 or 1/4 of the problem. And I'm going to get into this. So I'm very I won't say proud, but I am glad that Canada, the nation I am proud of, is finally going to address this issue. However, I'm also incredibly, immensely disappointed in my nation in that they have followed feminist politics and are only going to address about 1/3 of the issue. And I in good conscience cannot remain silent upon this. Those missing and murdered Indigenous individuals that are being ignored by the feminists and the government in Canada, their voices are being silenced. Their family's grief is not being acknowledged. And so I'm going to hopefully fix that problem. In 2010, Native Women's Association put out a paper called What Their Stories Tell Us, and it's research findings from the Sisters in Spirit initiative. Now, I urge everybody to read this because the information in there is good information in there, but it is only myopic and one-sided information. And what I believe the Native Women's Association of Canada is actually doing is failing the mothers of the missing and murdered Indigenous men. Okay, they're failing the families, the mothers, the fathers, every single one of them. But feminism is supposed to be for everybody, is it not? That is what they claim. But we're only hearing about 1/3 of the problem. Now, I read through this report, and this is probably the most damning bit of evidence. If I read through their report and went through the same reports that they went through, and I found that they ignored this, okay? All right, they ignored the findings that I found. So I'm just going to read off this one paragraph here. In Canada, there is one known jurisdiction that has worked to improve reporting of Aboriginal identity. The Saskatchewan Association of Chiefs of Police, SACP, is the only policing body to present detailed statistics on missing persons in their jurisdiction. The SACP website offers an analysis of missing persons from 1940 to 2009 by race, gender, and geographic location. The website reveals that almost 59% of missing women and girls in Saskatchewan are of Aboriginal ancestry, 17 out of 29 cases. The number of outstanding cases of Aboriginal men and boys is also significant, but represents a smaller percentage of cases, 44 out of 69 cases. Considering that Aboriginal people represent only 15% of the population in Saskatchewan, these figures are significant and speak to the urgency surrounding this issue of missing Aboriginal peoples and need for more publicly available data. Now, there's two parts that really sent up red flags for me, okay? How they went from 17 to 29 cases, and they wanted to highlight the number of missing missing Indigenous people here, Indigenous women, and they changed it over here to a percentage. just to kind of try and I can only surmise or guess that they did it to hide the actual number. And so now we're going to get into the actual numbers. And again, I'm going to point out that these feminist researchers, these professional feminists, had to read the same documents and reports that I'm about to show you and that I read, okay? And they are only advocating for the addressing of 1/3 of the issue. Here is the Saskatchewan Association of Chiefs of Police website. And if you notice here on the right-hand corner, they have the missing person statistics from 1935 to 2015. Total, 121 missing persons, unidentified human remains, 8, and located persons, 27. Now we're going to deal with total number by race and total number by females by race and total number of males by race, okay? The only reason why I'm not going to go by the location map is because it's happening in all the provinces across Canada, okay? It's not just limited to Saskatchewan here, okay? So we click on that link there, the Crystal Reports, and here we have missing people from, what is it here, 1935 to, or 1940 to 2015, sorry. And you can see 32 missing females, 90 missing males. So there's a 2/3, 1/3 breakdown there. We go on to the sex here. This is the female victims race, and we can see that there's 14 Caucasians missing, Caucasian females missing, and 18 Aboriginal females missing. If we go over to the men's pie graph here, we can really start seeing the numbers here. You know, again, 1940 to 2015, 50 Caucasian males missing, 2 of visible minority, and 38 Aboriginal men. So let's just go over those numbers again. 38 Aboriginal men missing, and 18 Aboriginal females missing. Now, we only hear about missing and murdered Indigenous women. Why is it that we aren't hearing about missing and murdered Indigenous men? I, as a Canadian, cannot remain silent on this topic, and I hope that you won't either. Join me in raising your voice and raising awareness that we as Canadians want to address all of the problem. Not 1/3 of the problem, but all the problem. We want all those missing people, all their families, to have the help that we are currently about to show for missing and murdered Indigenous women. Thanks for listening, folks. Take care of yourselves, take care of your loved ones, and remember, each one of these victims has a mother, a father, possibly sons and daughters, brothers and sisters, husbands and wives. These missing and murdered individuals, they affect communities, not just one gender or one sex. Thanks for listening, folks. Take care. Like, subscribe, and share. Don't be afraid to hit the donate button if you like what I do. And we'll talk to you another day. Dan out.